We will now move into the other drug portion of alcohol and other drugs. We say other drugs in this case because alcohol is definitely a drug. Most people don't think it is, but it is for sure considered a drug. So in terms of other drug use, there are three main points we like to make. So the first one is that other drugs are the leading cause of death. So they have surpassed car accidents as the leading cause of injury death in the United States, which is extremely scary. The second point we like to make is that other drugs can have dangerous interactions, so whether that is a prescription drug or an over-the-counter drug, you never know how those drugs are going to react with other drugs or alcohol. So especially if maybe I take two depressants, so I have alcohol and I also do something like take a Xanax, which is also a depressant, that can slow down my heart too much and my heart can literally stop. The same thing can happen if I maybe drink alcohol and take something like an Adderall. So the Adderall would speed up my heart rate and the alcohol would slow it down. And my heart would get too confused and it could literally stop. So it is really, really dangerous to do that. The third point is that you might not know what you're taking. So especially if you buy something from a random person, it's definitely not regulated by the FDA. So you're not going to know what's in it. They're not going to know what's in it. And the medical personnel will not know what's in it when they're trying to help you. So moving into marijuana, a lot of people think that marijuana is completely harmless or it just won't have really an effect on you, and that is definitely not the case. Marijuana can cause breathing problems, it can cause increased heart rate, it can also cause problems with child development, and it can also lead to lower life satisfaction, poor mental health, poor physical health, and more relationship problems. So marijuana might be legal where you're from, but it is not legal in South Carolina, which means it is not legal on campus. And the last thing we like to point out about marijuana is that it is extremely misconceived on campus. Only 14.5% of Clemson students reported that they are current users of marijuana, but pretty much 90% of students believe that the average student on campus is using marijuana at least once a month. So that is a crazy misconception, and just know that even if you think everyone is using marijuana, they're probably not. So going into prescription drug abuse, so having the possession of a drug that is not prescribed to you is a crime, and if you have the amount of these drugs not prescribed to you on you that authorities believe you have the distribute to sell or deal them, that is a felony. So a felony will give you a big fine and jail time, and that means no Clemson, so that would not be good. So definitely prescription drugs are not something to play around with. So the most common prescription drugs that are abused are opioid pain relievers such as Vicodin or Oxy, ADHD medications such as Adderall or Ritalin, and CNS depressants such as Valium or Xanax. Also, over-the-counter drugs can be misused as well, so a lot of cold remedies and other over-the-counter drugs, definitely just because you don't need a prescription for it does not make it safe. Also, the biggest thing about prescription drugs are that if they're not prescribed to you, they will not act the way you think they will. If you are not prescribed them, it means you do not need them. So why would you take something you do not need? It will not encourage or promote the same performance that it would in someone who did need them. And if you are not prescribed them, it will not give you that performance or that feeling that it is intended to do. So Clemson is a tobacco-free campus. This includes Juuls and other vape pens or e-cigarettes. And so I'm just going to quickly run through a scenario. So say you're at a party after a day of tailgating, you notice that someone, they've had a lot to drink, they're just kind of passed out in the corner, they're not responsive, their skin's pale, they feel cold, and you're kind of suspecting that they have alcohol poisoning. So the first thing you want to do in this situation is definitely call 911. That is the number one thing you want to do, absolute first thing. Second, you want to turn them on their side with their arm up. It's called the Bacchus maneuver. If you want to look that up, that's how you should have them positioned. This is so that they don't choke on their own vomit or their own tongue or anything like that. You should not give them anything to eat or drink. They'll just spit it back up. and you definitely don't want to leave them alone. So you want to wait until the police or the medical personnel get there so that you can tell them what this person had, what you think is going on, and definitely just be a good friend and be there to help them out. So some resources that have to do with alcohol and other drugs. So we have an AA style meeting at Clemson called Clemson and Sober. Their information is up here if you want to get in contact with them about joining that group. CAPS has counselors for drug and alcohol addiction or abuse or anything like that. So if you want to talk with someone about alcohol or other drugs, there will be someone at CAPS that will be able to talk to you about that. Filing a care report for a friend who is maybe misusing alcohol or other drugs is a great idea. They will be connected to the right resources if you submit a care report about them. If you want to read more about MAP, you can find that on our website. You can read into all of the nitty-gritty details about it. CUPD, obviously, if you have any questions about on-campus policies or rules or laws, definitely contact them. They will be more than happy to answer anything. And we also have some online self-assessments that you can use to evaluate your own drug or alcohol use. If you so choose, you can find those on our website and just know what's considered healthy, what you're doing, and how that lines up with some national data. And just you can use these to kind of get a better idea of how you compare to other college students, how you compare to other colleges in the nation in terms of alcohol or other drugs. And those can provide you with some really great information. So I would definitely recommend them.